Okay. Okay, are the slides visible? मी एक काम करते, माझा व्हिडिओ ऑफ करते, म्हणजे कधी कधी बराच सपोर्ट मिळतो त्याला. स्विच ऑफ माय व्हिडिओ. एकच मिनिट. Okay. Are the slides visible now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. Fine. So, in this series of medical review of Bhagavad Gita, today we will discuss this presentation. On this presentation, causes of disease in Bhagavad Gita. So, according to the Karyakarana Bhav or the law of nature, each and everything has some causes in the past. Okay. So, let's see what Bhagavad Gita discusses about the diseases. What are the causes of the diseases? Yesterday we covered the genetical and environmental causes. Today we will see this atmospheric, karmic, excessive use of logic, carriage and of samskaras and vasanas leading to a particular kind of pattern of karmas. So we'll have just a small recap. That genetical causes, whatever whatever the lifestyle or whatever the thinking process, thought process I'm having now, that will have my genetic memory, or that get impressions on my genes. Okay, and that get carries from generation to generation, or that is something called as a hereditary. Okay, I will belong my genetic memory of my parents, my grandparents, and foreparents. So like that, each and every person carries that genetic memory of his dynasty. Okay, or what the people are thinking, what there is a behavioral pattern of the people, psychological pattern of his people in his dynasty. So in first chapter, Arjuna is saying, when Kulakshaya happens, that is dynasty get destroyed, when Kuladharmaha, if the people in the family are not following the dharma or the sattvic karmas, or the karmas which are good for the society, or towards the beneficial of the society. For example, fighting with each other, right? For example, what happened at the end of the Mahabharata, or from the starting of the Mahabharata, we know a lot of big, long history of Mahabharatas. The fight between the Kaurava and Pandavas, it was not on the battle of the Mahabharata, it was from the starting. So, fighting with the relatives, that decreases the relationships, that destroys the duties or my power of getting supported to each other, and that destroys the completely sattvic power or sattva guna in the family, and that destroys the dynasty, or that is the root cause of the kulakshaya. Once the kulakshaya happens, or the family or the dynasty is in the deterioration process, kulastriya dushanam. Okay, striya means ladies in that family get spoiled or get polluted. In the psychological aspect, I am saying, along with physical aspect, psychological aspect is more important uh, in this genetic memory. So that happens, and then because the ladies have, the females have more responsibility, because the reproduction factor or reproduction process is happening in the, or in the development of the womb, fetus happens in the body of the female. So that is, if kulastriya dushanam is happening, or ladies are in the family are getting polluted, that will lead to the varna sankara. There are so many other reasons of varna sankara also. Along with this improper psychological or karmic behavior, there are so many other reasons. For example, marriage in the similar patterns or similar genetic patterns. Okay, so the marriage is happening in the same community or in the same caste, or maybe sometimes intercaste also, so that there are so many other reasons for the varna sankara. So this is one of the reason of varna sankara. Okay, that is an inferior progeny. So many, it's a, again, it's a genetical science, it is a big field, it is a vast field actually. So this is one of the reason that the psychological pattern which the family or the dynasty is pursuing, that causes the genetic memory, that causes the pollution or the inferior process of the, they adopt the inferior quality of the psychological thinking patterns. So that is something that ends in the Varna Sankara, and that ends in the some kind of a physical abnormality. Okay, so for example, congenital diseases, there are so many diseases, genetic diseases, chromosomal diseases, that is the output of this Varna Sankara. So this is a genetical cause of the disease described in Bhagavad Gita. Next to that, next to this sutra, in second next sutra, environmental causes are described. Once the Varna Sankara happens, that the progeny or the next generation is getting birth with inferior quality of the body, physical pattern as well as psychological pattern, that leads to dushkarmas. That means some kind of karma which is not beneficial for the society. So that leads to the that results in the improper social behavior. For example, they conduct so many activities like global warming, terrorism. If my psychological pattern or my gunas or my beliefs, my ethics and my logics are very fixed and firm, nobody can come and brainwash me or put his principles on, or nobody can make me to believe on his own principles. Okay, it happens, for example, terrorism. The people are getting literally brainwashed. So normal people, normal children, what are the people are doing? They are literally doing cleansing their memories. They are literally doing the brainwashed. So that happens because they are belonging to a lower quality or poor quality of the psychological pattern. Okay, they can easily believe on someone's speech. So this is an improper social, and then they conduct that kind of terrorist activity or some kind of antisocial activities. So this is an improper social behavior they are conducting or they are committing, and that leads to the sthala kala dosha, the land, the atmosphere, the time. In Ayurveda also it is mentioned sthala and kala is getting dushita day by day in this Kali Yuga. So that is because of the behavior of a mankind. Salakala dosha, Sala, that means land, atmosphere, or environment is getting completely polluted. Okay, and Kala is also getting polluted. Now Kala is a fourth dimension, so that is also getting polluted, and that results in the improper seasoning. If you'll observe since last 10 years or maybe 20 years, the environment is not following the proper seasoning patterns, or that is something called as a Rutu in Ayurveda. Okay, Grishma Rutu, Vasanta Rutu, there are so many Rutus described in Ayurveda, 6 major Rutus. So that is not getting followed. In the October we are getting rain, in somewhere in monsoon we are not having rains, or we are having very less monsoons in different parts of the world. The seasons are not getting followed properly according to the nature. So that is the reason, because Sthala and Kala dosha Kala is getting polluted. Okay, and that results in the pandemic situations or some kind of natural calamities. You might have observed since last 10 years, the volcanoes erupt as well as the flooded situations, cyclones, earthquakes. The number of, or the percentage or the rate is quite increasing because of this Sthala and Kala dosha. And then that is and then different viruses, different new diseases are rising up. So that destructs the mankind. So these are the environmental causes described in the Bhagavad Gita, the causes of the diseases in Bhagavad Gita. Now we will see the atmospheric cause. Okay, so here words might be something different, or we can say universal cause also, because there are so many, and the environment and atmosphere these are the two words which are used very as a synonyms. Okay, so atmospheric causes, or we can say the universal causes, or the causes which are happening around actually the earth or in the galaxy. So for that we need to understand first that there is a cycle of yajna. Now here yajna, if today in India, okay, out of India, very people know what is yajna, or they might be knowing, but they are not knowing the literally or the real meaning of the yajna. Even in India also, even in the land of the Vedas also, the people are like, we need to know the what is yajna. Okay, yajna means not performing few rituals or havan and puja. Okay, that is also one part of yajna. But that is not only limited or restricted, because in Kali Yuga, the yajna is only, the meaning of the yajna is getting carried only up to this. Performing some rituals, performing some havan, puja, that kind of some religious activities. Okay, so the meaning of yajna is only restricted up to the some religious practices in Kali Yuga. Okay, there are so many reasons for that, why we don't know all these things. Will not enter in that. So basically, we should know that what is a yajna, and there is a yajna cycle basically. Okay, so if we can observe, because this is again a different topic, to summarize that, there is a Akshar Brahman. No? We discussed in last presentation. There is a Akshar Brahman. There is an absolute present in the universe. There is an energy which is creating, maintaining, and destroying this everything in this universe. So that is a Akshar Brahman. Okay, that Akshar Brahma from time to time creates the Brahma or creates the universe. Okay, so now Brahma is a universe. We know that in Indian mythological time calculation, we know that there is a one day of Brahma, in that something 4 billion years are there. That calculation is also given in Bhagavad Gita, but we are not exploring that because our contest is not in this series. So there are 4 yugas, then 4 kalpas, and different things. So there is a Akshar Brahma creates the Brahma or creates a universe. Okay. So we are now in the 14th Manvantara in the Kali Yuga. Okay, so that happens. Human life a range is very small. It's just 60, 70, 80 years. Nothing if you'll consider in context with the universe. So Akshar Brahma creates the Brahma. In this universe, people, he expects the people, he creates the generation, or he creates this Prajapati, creates this all living and non-living animals, and even plants and the humans also. And he expects that they should commit some karma, or they should do some kind of activities in this universe, and they should perform the yajna. Okay, so we'll understand what is yajna afterwards. It is expected that they will commit some yajnas. That yajna process or yajna karma leads to the parjanya. Parjanya means that gives to the rains. Why the rain is not getting properly? Because we are not doing the yajna karmas. So that gives you the rain, the solar system, the light, heat, everything, all these kinds of resources on the earth. That creates the anna. Anna means food. Okay, we know if the monsoon is proper, we can create the crops, or the crop get easily created in the farm, and that creates the food, and that nourish the bhutani. Okay, the bhutas or the living things here that get nourished with the food. Okay, and that leads to a pushti tushti. Okay, nourishment and the psychological, behavioral nourishment, physical nourishment of the people here, and that again leads to the Akshar Brahman. Okay, so this is a cycle actually. Basically, what happens, because we break this cycle at the karma and yajna level. If I'm stopping a kind of a wheel at one point, it will not lead to the next level. Okay, so this is a cycle. In the Bhagavad Gita 3rd chapter 10 to 14 sutras, the cycle of yajna is well described, because unless we'll understand this, we'll not able to understand the causes, how the breaking of the cycle of yajna leads to the diseases. So in 3rd chapter 10 to 14 sutra in Bhagavad Gita, Prajapati or the Brahma is created by Akshar Brahman. Okay, by the ultimate consciousness. And that Prajapati creates humans. Okay, human bodies. We are a kind of a human. We are the highest evolved animal on the earth. We are humans, and that is Brahma also created the gods. Here, God means the cosmic energies. Okay, or the celestial bodies. Okay, what are the celestial bodies? We know we are living in the galaxy. The Earth is a planet in the galaxy, which have another 8 planets. Okay, so these 8 planets are in the material celestial bodies. Okay, so like Sun, Venus, or different Neptune, Pluto, Saturn, and all these 8 planets are there along with Earth, even Sun also. Sun. So these are the material celestial bodies which are present in the material form, or in the some kind of a gaseous form. All planets are not present in the material form. They are present in the gaseous form, but at least they are present in the material form. Okay, so there are so many other celestial bodies also which are present in a non-material form. Okay, if you are aware of the astrology, if you are aware of the astronomy and physical galaxy, I mean the space science, you if you will read that articles, you will come to know that there are so many celestial bodies in the matter form as well as in the non-matter form. The bodies present in the matter form, they call is as a planets, or different names are there, stars and so many things. But the galaxy bodies which are in non-matter form, these are the cosmic energies, and it is created by the Prajapati or Brahma. Okay, Brahma. So Brahma created the humans or animals on the earth, plants on the earth, along with the cosmic energies also, along with the celestial bodies also. And what it is expected, whenever I am starting a project, I will hire 2, 3, 4, 10 people, and I will expect that they should work in cooperation. Okay, if my 10 assistants in my project is not having cooperation with each other, I cannot run my project. Okay, or I cannot work properly. So all my assistants along with me, all these 10 people should have some coordination or some cooperation with each other. Each and everyone's work is dependent on others' work. So all this Prajapati also expects that all the humans along with animals and other things along with his cosmic energies and celestial bodies should work together. Okay, humans should nourish the gods or these cosmic energies. This cosmic energy or gods should nourish the humans. So there should be give and take relationship. So both should do karmas for each other. And that's why that is the problem, and this cycle is getting breaked here. Because of so many things, you will find in all Vedic literatures, in Rig Vedas, in Upanishads, that we have to offer the karmas towards the gods. Agni, Rudra, Varud, so many devatas or deities are described. We have to perform some kinds of karmas, maybe some ritual activities, maybe some religious practices, maybe in the form of karmas. We should offer that credits to the that deities. Okay, but that's what we are not doing here in this, especially last 100 or 200 years. Before 100 200 years, we were following this pattern, but because of the so many things, we are now not believing. First of all, we are not aware of all these things, and we are not believing in this science. Okay, so this is again recreation of this science. So these gods and cosmic energies provides the resources. Okay, may I ask the question, from where I am getting this air on this earth, which I can breathe? From where I can, am I paying something for that? No. How I'm getting the solar system, solar energy? Am I paying for that, or am I buying that? No, this is something a free of cost services provided for the human beings. Solar, so a lot of oxygen, ozone, nitrogen. There are so many gases, essential gases, which are required for the human beings, that you are not purchasing. It is free of cost. It is given by the cosmic energies. It is provided by, these are the resources provided by the gods and the cosmic energies to you or to the human beings. So these cosmic energies provides the resources. If you are in the astrology, you will observe that there are vibrations, or there are some kind of energies getting affected on the human beings by Saturn, by Mercury, by another planets. That complete astrology is based on all these things only. So they are providing resources to you or to the human beings. So humans, what then in returns, what human beings are supposed to do is humans beings are supposed to utilize that, these energies, these gases, this solar energies or anything. They are supposed to utilize that and use that, do the karmas and offer the results or credits. Results means the credits or the vibrations to gods with yajna. Okay, so when we are not doing things, first of all, if I am not aware that I should return back to someone, then I will not return back. Okay, yeah, I am having the credit of someone, I should return some money or whatever I am getting, I should give it to that person, then I will not give it, and then there is a breakage of that cycle, that there is a breakage of that give and take relationship. Okay, so that's what we are actually committing. Maybe knowingly, maybe unknowingly, we are committing this mistake. So if not offering, that is something kind of a wrong thing. wrong thing in context to the galaxy or in context to the universe. In the universe, we are not establishing a good or healthy give and take relationship. So that's why it is called as a sin or pap in the mythology or in some other context, and that is not recommended. Okay, if I'm getting or if I'm receiving some resources from someone, I should give back or I should return something to that person. This is obvious. This is a law of nature. Give and take is observed always in any context of the law of nature. So this, if we are receiving so many things from these cosmic energies, from these celestial bodies, from these gods, we should return back to them in some form. And if we are not doing this, we are breaking this cycle of yajna. Okay. So in short, what is the cycle of yajna? If we suppose I am doing any karmas, okay, any activity, considering all the rituals, considering all the religious practices followed according to different religions on the earth. Okay. So that all practices along with my karmas, okay, whatever karma I am doing, at the end of that karma, I should give up the results or I should give up the credits of that. Okay. So we should say or we should believe that I am not doing this. He or the God is getting it done by me. Okay. When we start possessing this idea, yes, I completed the project, I am donating, I am doing lot of these things, that means you are receiving or you are holding that credits towards you. Okay. And here we are breaking the cycle of yajna. We should always offer all the karmas to all the credits of the karmas to the God. Then that is the yajna. Yajna includes all the religious practices, all the different rituals, along with the giving up the credits of the karmas. Okay. So in yajna, we always say idam na mama. So this is a Sanskrit quote that idam na mama. This is not mine, or this belongs to God, or whatever. Suppose if we do some kind of activity, of course, at the end of the activity, we receive some karma, or we receive some credit. Okay. Okay. Or we receive some reward, kind of, we receive some acknowledgement or some kind of appreciation. Okay. So if the appreciation is good, we hold that towards ourselves, or if the appreciation or if there are critics are there, we don't hold that. So that's another thing. But that appreciation, that rewards, we should give up. We should say that idam na mama. So this idam na mama is a basic fundamental sutra of the yajna. Keep on saying in your life continuously that I don't belong this. This is not mine. This belongs to God. Idam na mama. Idam means this. Na means not. Mama means mine. This is not mine. Whatever the credits, whatever the rewards, whatever the appreciation or anything, if you whatever you are getting, that is not mine. That belongs to the God, or God is giving me. God made me. If you observe closely, we are not doing anything on this earth, and that nourishes the gods. That nourishes that vibrations, that your psychological pattern, that your behavioral pattern nourishes the cosmic energies, nourishes the celestial bodies. Okay. And that energies provide the rain, the solar energy, the maintenance of essential gases in the atmosphere like nitrogen, ozone, oxygen, even the ammonia, and so many things are there. Okay. So that nourishes all these essential resources on the earth, and that leads to the proper construction or proper gaining of the food. And again, when we receive the food, proper quality based food, no, today we are observing that all food atoms are getting polluted. You go to a market, you'll see that the quality of the food, maybe fruits, vegetables, or anything, the quality of the food is getting deteriorated as compared to the last 50 years, or maybe 20 years, maybe 100 years. Why? Because of all these things. Okay. So the food quality decreases. And then again, if you'll get good food, if you'll keep on nourishing the cycle of yajna, we again can create all different karmas, and then we can again, so this cycle goes on. Okay. So the cycle get broken where we are not offering, we are holding all the credits towards ourselves, or we are holding that recognition, that appreciation, that and we think that I am the doer. Okay. there we are breaking the cycle of the yajna. We are not offering the credits, we are not offering the vibrations, we are not offering the appreciations towards the God. After conduction of each and every activity, we should offer at the end. You conduct, if you observe in ashram or in any spiritual practices, at the end, they say that I am offering all these things towards the God. Shri Krishna Arpanamastu, Shiva Arpanamastu. Okay, so I'm offering all this. Maybe it is a lecture, maybe it is a bhajan, or maybe it is any kind of activity. Any kind of activity. If we, before we have mantras, before eating food, after eating food, before sleeping, after sleeping, when we get up, when we are going to sleep, you will observe that in a good spiritual life, the prayers have the very significant role. Minimum 10 prayers are, if a man is following a proper spiritual life, minimum 10 prayers he is doing in a day, or he is supposed to do. Okay, so that means every time, or in every prahar, or every hour of his day, he is offering all the karmas to the God, or to the cosmic energies, or whatever he is doing, he's offering to the God or to the celestial bodies. So he is nourishing this cycle of karma. He is promoting this cycle of karma. And we break this cycle of karma. Okay. In next 15 to 18 verses of the 3rd chapter, the one who do not offer karma breaks this cycle, who do not remember the God, who do not offer all these credits, or who do not believe in, first of all, he is the first broker of this cycle of yajna. So the one who do not offer his karmas by a lot of practices or by a lot of techniques to the gods, he breaks the cycle of yajna. Doing karma or any activities and for ourselves and holding that rewards, because if somebody is giving me a trophy, or somebody is have written some kind of appreciation article for me, and if I believe that I will keep on showing, we will post it in Facebook, we will post it in social media, and we'll keep on nourishing ourselves, right? So this is something called as a living for the worldly pleasure. Whatever they reward, what is now today people are doing, they get something, their first work they do it, they post it in social media, so that the other people come to know that what the reward or what the trophy the person has received, and then he again get a lot of likes and a lot of appreciation. So appreciation is an investment for next appreciation. Okay, so this is a very normal pattern people are following now. So this is something called as you are living for a worldly pleasure. Okay, so you want other people to recognize you and appreciate you, that's why you are using your previous karmas. Okay, that is something called as a not recommended. Live for the purpose of the universe and not just for the worldly pleasures. Okay, so this is doing all karmas. This is one of the example, which is a common example we are following now. So doing all karmas or living to worldly pleasure leads to sin or something breakage of the cycle. Okay, and the one who follows this cycle, he is called as a self-realized or stable person, or something called the Sthita Prajna in the according to Bhagavad Gita terminology. And he promotes this cycle of yajna. Okay, whatever I am appreciation or recognition or reward I am getting, I will give it to the God, or I believe that is not mine. It belongs to God. Okay, so the message is that here from this sutra is that follow karma yoga, follow the yajna, follow or give up all your credits, rewards and everything, whatever you are getting as a result of the karmas, offer it towards the God. Follow the yajna. Okay, with no intention of karma. Okay, that is that we should believe that I am not the cause of this activity. Okay, I should because of me the activity or the any kind of donation, any kind of activity is not getting conducted. It is my duty that I am not doing, or I am not doing something very great. This is my duty. Okay, even no repulsion or attraction for the karmas. Okay, so yajna actually is a synonym of the karma yoga. So when we are doing any activity with all these 3-4 instructions, that is something called as a karma yoga or yajna. So doing any activity with no intention of the karmas or no any personal desires. Okay, I'm doing this activity because I want this, I want that. Okay, not because of this. That and doing the karma with the sense of duty is karma yoga or is yajna. No, and if you are following this first instruction, the second instruction will happen automatically. No repulsion or attraction of any karma. Whatever the activity is told to you, or whatever the activity is expected from you, that you will commit or that you will start, and that leads to the detachment. Okay, so the third thing is that give up the credits. Keep on doing the ahuti. Ahuti means giving up the credits. Okay, in yajna or in religious practices, we offer the ahutis. So every 24 hours, we have to give up the things. We have to give the ahutis. Shri Krishnarpanamastu, Shri Shivarpanamastu, whichever God, whichever form of the God you believe. So offer everything to the cosmic energy or towards the Prajapati or towards the Akshar Brahman. Okay, but if not followed, that breaks the cycle of the yajna and that leads to the diseases. For example, in last present slide, we observe that if I'm not following the idam na mama pattern, or if I'm holding all credits towards me, the gods will not get nourished. They will not get the proper resources and energies from these cosmic energies or cosmic forms. Okay, and then food will get corrupted. All the resources will get corrupted, and again we will be having poor quality of the resources, and then we will not able to conduct our karmas. Okay, so this is a breaking the cycle of the yajna is the atmospheric cause of the diseases. Okay, so next one is the karmic causes. And that is conducting the vikarma. Okay, so this is again what is karma, what is akarma, what is vikarma. That is, this is again a different topic. We can explore it in very well. But here in short, in the I think in third chapter only, in 17th sutra, the sutra is there. Karmano yapi bodhavyam, bodhavyam cha vikarmanah, akarmanascha bodhavyam, gahana karmano gatihi. This last words, last 1/4 part is very important, is very significant. You underline it 2-3 times in your Bhagavad Gita text or whatever the book you have. Gahana karmano gatihi. Okay, I always tell whenever we are teaching Bhagavad Gita, this few sutras or few part of the sutras in Bhagavad Gita is very important. We should get it printed, and we should we should frame it and put it in on the walls. Okay, so these are so important, that gahana karmano gati, that we should keep reminding always. So this is one of the that kind of sutra. So what Sri Krishna is asking Arjuna in this sutra, hey Arjuna, you know the karma, karmano yapi bodhavyam, bodhavyam cha vikarmana. You know what is karma, akarmanascha bodhavyam. You know what is akarma, bodhavyam cha vikarmana. You know what is vikarma, okay, what is forbidden action. It is not easy to distinguish between karma, akarma, and vikarma. We need lot of practice, lot of abhyas, because we commit the karmas or we do the karmas knowingly, unknowingly. Okay, so karma analysis is actually a very difficult thing. Okay, before doing karma, we have to think so many times. Okay, but we have adopted such a speed of life that we are not giving any time for karma analysis before conduction of the karma. So you know what is karma, you know what is akarma, you know what is vikarma, that is a forbidden action. And according to that, once you will be aware that is what is karma, what is akarma, what is vikarma, and according to that, you are allowed to do either karma or akarma, okay, but never do vikarma. Okay, never do vikarma. Vikarma is a cause of the diseases or cause of the problem in your life. Okay, so never commit to any vikarma. Why? Because gahana karmano gatihi. You will result to a very sincere or severe consequences. Okay, so now we can analyze little bit in summary, because we conduct a lot of series or lectures on karmas also. So in bracket, if you observe this table, okay, so here first column is the action needed. We should ask now every day or before conduction of the karma or activity, we should ask ourselves whether the action is needed. Next one is whether the action is performed, and then superficial view and a deeper view. Okay, initially there are two views actually. In superficially we find that yes, that action was needed. Okay, but then it is observed that that action was not needed. Okay, that is useless activity. Okay, so we should analyze that properly. So if the first row, if the action is needed, whether the action is needed, yes. Okay, if the answer is yes, then where the action is performed, yes. Okay, then the superficial view of that activity can be called in both views as a karma. Okay, I performed the action when it was needed. Okay, when it was highly needed, I conducted that thing. Then that is a karma. You can put that in a karma section. Next one is whether the action was needed. No. Still sometimes we perform the karma, but action performed, yes. Okay, and this is something called as a, it looks, because action was performed, we will say yes, I did my karma. So superficial view is that yes, I committed or I conducted the karma. Okay, but actually when you are doing this kind of karmas, that is a kind of a weak karmas. If you analyze that in a deeper format, it is a kind of a weak karma. Okay, so I performed the action when it was not needed. Okay, for example, I will give you a simple example. Okay, suppose today if I will give donation 1 crore donation to an orphanage. Okay, and this is needed. Okay, but what is not needed, then I will ask that manager of that orphanage that you put the my name on the walls or on some kind of a arc or something like that, because this hall or this kind of whatever the resources they are having, this donation is received by Dr. Ruchira Rupesh Joshi. Whether this action was needed, no. Donation activity was needed, that I performed or that I conducted, that's fine. But putting or asking, okay, asking him to put my name on the wall or to put my name on some arc, that was not needed at all. That was needed to boost up my ego. Okay, that's so 100 people will visit that orphanage and they will come to know that I have donated 1 crore to this orphanage, and then they will acknowledge me, they will recognize me, or they will again promote my name to some another thing. This is just a boosting of the ego. Okay, that was not needed, but at that time I felt that that is needed and I performed that action. Because as you are donated 1 crore, as I have donated 1 crore, the manager will follow that. Okay, or he is pressurized to follow that. Okay, so the action was not needed at all, and still I performed that action. So this is weak karma. Okay, when the action, this is just an example I am giving you. Like this, we have to really analyze whether this action is really needed or not. We conduct a lot of activities which are in real context not needed for the beneficial of the society. It is needed only for our worldly pleasure, for boosting my ego, for doing so many things. Just I should feel happy. So we do a lot of activities that is just for the selfish purpose and not for the society purpose. Okay, not good for the society. Okay, so superficially it looks like a karma. Okay, but it is a kind of a weak karma. And what is if the next third row is action. If action needed, no. If not performed, that is something called as a akarma. This is very easy to understand. Okay, but that is also kind of a karma. When the action was not needed, not doing the action superficially looks like a karma, but in a deeper way, it is a kind of a karma. Okay, and then action. If the action was needed, yes. Action performed, no. Then superficially it looks like a karma, but in a deeper way it is a weak karma. We just here in this context, we are understanding what is vikarma. Okay. For example, I have again I will give you an example here of the vikarma. For example, I have a big fight or I have a long fight of so many years with my neighbor. Okay, for example, and there is a quite long we are not in on the same platform, we are never in the on the same platform. I keep on fighting with my neighbor for some reasons, or they also keep on fighting with me. Okay, for some reason. So there is no good relationship with the neighbors or with your relatives or with anyone. Okay, suppose one fine night, the my neighbor visits my house and he is asking emergency help for me. Okay, so the actually he need my help in emergency, but then I will give up some excuses. No, 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 because he's my, I feel that he's my enemy and he's not supporting me and he's a cause of my lot of pains and disturbances. No, I'm not going to help you. Okay, but actually your need or your help was needed at that time, but because of our selfish reasons, because of promotions or of our anger or desires or so many things, I refuse. I will give a lot of excuses. No, I have this, I have that, and I'm not going to help you at all. It's not possible for me to help you. So this your karma. Okay, you are not doing anything. This is a karma, but in deeper view, this is a vikarma. Okay, so when the action was needed, it is not performed, looks like a karma in the superficial view, but it leads to the vikarma, or it is a deeper view. This is a vikarma. So the second and fourth row is something called as a vikarma. Whenever the action was needed, whenever the action was not needed, I performed that action. That is a vikarma. And whenever the action was needed, I didn't perform that action. That is also a vikarma. Okay, so either you do karma or akarma, but never do vikarmas. Of course, this karma analysis is but understanding this karma analysis or walking on this karma analysis path is difficult, but it is not impossible. If by practice we can come to know what is karma, what is akarma, what is vikarma. Okay, so we can never do vikarma, because this kind of vikarmas is never excused in the universe. Is never, we think, okay, the mistake has happened, let us forget that mistake. You can able to forget the mistake, but the nature will never forget, or nature will never excuse you, or never forgive you by these kind of vikarmas actions or vikarmas. You will receive the results, you will receive the consequences of such kind of karmas or such kind of vikarmas actually. And that is the cause of the diseases in some or another form. This vikarmas creates the, because God is sitting under us or inside us. No, Parma, that if you remember that Paramatma, Jivatma, then Prakrutis, and that Mahat Tattvas, he will give you the punishment. Initially, in young age or in younghood or in childhood or in, forget about childhood because children are not aware of all this. In the younghood, in the adult age or up to 40, 50, we commit all these kinds of vikarmas. And at the end of the, after 40, 50, you will start getting punishment of these vikarmas. Okay, because God sit, Paramatma sitting, Jivatma sitting inside you, he will give you rewards or will give you this consequences of your karmas, of your vikarmas. Nothing is excused. Okay, so there is no excuse in the nature, in the form of nature. So this is the one of the basic reason of the diseases, that is vikarma. So here I am breaking this. Thank you. Here I will stop this recording so that small recordings are easy to observe.